Every single day begins with a decision, whether you take control of your mind or let the world control it for you, and that decision is made in the first few minutes after you wake up. The moment your eyes open, your brain begins scanning for inputs. It starts looking for cues: what's important, what's urgent, what's dangerous, what's rewarding. If the first thing you do is reach for your phone, scroll through notifications, or start reacting to other people's problems, you're handing your brain over to chaos before you've even gotten out of bed. That's not how you build strength, resilience, or clarity. If you want to become the kind of person who performs consistently, who feels focused, who leads rather than follows, then you have to train your brain like you would train a muscle. And that starts every morning. The brain is highly impressionable in those early minutes. Cortisol is peaking, and your nervous system is looking for guidance. You can either feed it randomness, or you can guide it with intention. So what do I recommend? Step 1 is to avoid screens for at least the first 30 minutes. Give your mind a buffer. Reclaim that window. The next step is light. You want to step outside and get sunlight in your eyes. This isn't just some vague wellness advice. It's biology. When photons from the sun hit specialized cells in the retina, they trigger a cascade of neurochemical processes that boost dopamine, increase alertness, and set your circadian rhythm. Just 2 to 10 minutes of natural light, even on a cloudy day, is enough to send a powerful signal to your brain. We're awake, we're in control, we're ready. And while you're doing that, incorporate movement. Walk, stretch, do a few minutes of breath work, something that engages the body, because movement activates the nervous system and primes the brain for learning, focus, and performance. Even just a few controlled inhales and long exhales can shift you from a stressed, reactive state into a grounded, proactive one. You're telling your brain, I've got this, I'm not running from anything, I'm leading. Another tool that can help set the tone is cold exposure. A quick cold shower or even splashing your face with cold water triggers a spike in norepinephrine, a molecule associated with increased attention and mood. It's not comfortable, but neither is growth. And this small act of overcoming resistance first thing in the morning builds a mindset of discipline, before the world even asks anything of you. Now, none of this takes long. We're talking 10 to 20 minutes. But the impact compounds. When you do this every day, your brain starts to expect clarity instead of chaos, action instead of anxiety, and that changes how you show up in every other part of your life. You start making better decisions. You start speaking with more confidence. You stop getting pulled into distractions that used to steal your energy. And it's not because you suddenly have more time. It's because you've trained your mind to filter what matters. Here's the deeper truth. Mind set isn't something you hope for. It's something you build daily. And the most powerful way to build it is by taking command of your neurochemistry before the world has a chance to hijack it. You're not just waking up. You're shaping who you are. Because if you win the morning, you win the day. Movement is not just about fitness. It's about sending the right signals to your body and brain every single day. When people hear the word exercise, they often think of something optional, something you squeeze in when you have time. But the truth is, if you want to think clearly, manage your emotions, stay focused, and age well, then daily movement isn't a luxury. It's essential. It's as fundamental as sleep or nutrition. The brain is hardwired to respond to physical activity. Movement stimulates the release of neurochemicals that elevate mood, sharpen attention, and reduce stress. So, when we talk about showing up as your best self, we're not just talking about going to the gym, we're talking about creating a non-negotiable habit of intentional, daily motion. You don't have to train like an athlete to get these benefits. A 20-minute walk, a quick session of bodyweight exercises, a yoga flow, these are all powerful. What matters is consistency. Your nervous system doesn't respond to intensity nearly as well as it responds to repetition. In fact, studies show that just walking briskly for 20 to 30 minutes can increase blood flow to the brain, stimulate the release of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and enhance learning and memory. You become more mentally agile simply by putting one foot in front of the other. That's not motivational fluff. That's hard science. Now, here's something people miss. Movement regulates your emotions. It resets your stress levels. If you're overwhelmed, stuck, anxious, or mentally exhausted, the best thing you can do isn't to push through, it's to move. Your body stores stress. Your joints, your breath, your posture, all of them carry the weight of unresolved mental tension. The simple act of getting your body into motion begins to release that tension. Your breathing deepens. Your nervous system rebalances. Suddenly, what felt like a crisis now feels manageable. This is why I often say, motion drives emotion. You don't wait until you feel good to move, you move to feel good. There's also a neurological advantage. When you move, you activate neural circuits involved in planning, reward, and motor control. This cross-talk between body and brain builds resilience. It trains your system to adapt to stress, to stay flexible under pressure, and to keep moving forward when things get hard. These are the same neural circuits involved in persistence, in pushing through discomfort, in doing the hard thing even when motivation is low. That's why movement becomes a training ground for life. And let's not ignore the physical reality. Muscle is metabolic currency. The more muscle you maintain, the better your insulin sensitivity, your hormone levels, your bone density, and even your cognitive function. Regular resistance training isn't just for aesthetics, it's medicine. Especially as we age, maintaining strength is one of the most important levers for health span. And again, it doesn't require hours in the gym. 2 to 3 short, focused sessions a week, combined with daily light movement, is enough to keep you in peak condition physically and mentally. What I want you to understand is that this is not about perfection. It's about frequency. It's about making movement as automatic as brushing your teeth. Something you do because it anchors you, because it recenters you, and because it gives your body and brain exactly what they need to perform, to grow, to stay resilient. So when you wake up, ask yourself, not how hard should I train today, but how will I move today? Because when you move with intention, your entire system shifts, your mindset changes, your mood improves. Your focus sharpens, and you remind your brain that you are in control. You're not just surviving the day, you're shaping it, and it starts with movement. Most people think of food as fuel, and yes, that's part of the story, but only part. What you eat doesn't just give your body energy, it gives your brain instructions. Every bite sends a message. It tells your cells how to perform, it guides your hormones, it shifts your neurotransmitters. And over time, those messages determine how you think, how you feel, how well you recover, and how resilient you are to stress. So if you're serious about showing up each day with focus, strength, and clarity, you have to start viewing nutrition as a daily tool for shaping your biology. Protein is a foundational piece of this. It's not just for building muscle. Amino acids from protein are the raw materials your brain uses to make neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. These are chemicals that drive motivation, mood, and mental clarity. If you're low on protein, you're not just at risk for muscle loss. You're setting yourself up for brain fog, low energy, and poor decision making. I recommend most people get a substantial dose of protein in their first meal of the day. Not sugar, not ultra-processed carbs, but protein, paired with healthy fats and fiber to stabilize blood sugar and set the right tone for energy and focus. Speaking of blood sugar, one of the most overlooked factors in mental performance is glucose regulation. When your blood sugar spikes and crashes throughout the day, it doesn't just affect your physical energy. It creates mood swings, anxiety, and poor concentration. You want to aim for meals that keep you steady, not meals that send you on a roller coaster. That means prioritizing whole foods, vegetables, high-quality proteins, slowed, digesting carbs and healthy fats, in minimizing refined sugars and processed snacks that create inflammation and confusion in the brain. Hydration is another critical lever. The brain is over 70% water. Even mild dehydration can impair cognition, memory, and focus. A lot of people are walking around thinking they have motivation problems or attention issues, when really, they're just underhydrated. Start your day with a full glass of water, ideally with a pinch of salt or electrolytes if you've been sweating or fasting overnight. Then keep that hydration steady throughout the day. You'll think more clearly and your body will thank you. And finally, let's talk about micronutrients. Vitamins and minerals aren't just accessories. They're the switches and cofactors that allow your cells to function properly. Magnesium, zinc, omega-3 fatty acids, B vitamins. All of these support brain function, recovery, sleep quality, and hormone balance. If you're not getting these through food, a targeted supplement protocol can help fill in the gaps. But it starts with awareness. Your brain requires nourishment to operate at its best. So every day, think of food as more than just a meal. It's a decision about how you want to feel, how you want to think, and how well you want to function. When you eat with intention, you're not just fueling your body, you're upgrading your mind. One of the most powerful habits you can build is committing to learning something every single day, not passively consuming content, not scrolling through random facts. I'm talking about focused, intentional learning, what we often call deep work. Time you carve out to sit with challenging ideas, to study a concept, to write, to reflect, or to solve problems that stretch you. This kind of cognitive effort builds your brain like resistance training builds your muscles. And just like your body, your mind responds to challenge with growth. The brain is plastic. It reshapes itself based on how you use it. When you engage in focused learning, when you read a book with no distractions, when you write something that requires you to think deeply, when you tackle a concept you don't fully understand, you are literally strengthening the neural circuits that support discipline, memory, focus, and creativity. That's not something that just happens by accident. It happens when you show up daily with intention. This doesn't mean you have to spend hours in silence every day. Even 30 minutes of deep, undistracted focus can create profound change over time. But you have to protect that time, turn off notifications, put your phone in another room, let your brain drop into a mode where it can concentrate. Most people never access this state because their attention is constantly fractured. But once you taste it, once you feel what it's like to really think again, you'll start to crave it. Because deep work doesn't just produce better output, it creates clarity, confidence, and a sense of internal momentum that carries into everything else you do. And here's the thing, learning isn't just about acquiring knowledge, it's about staying alive inside. When you stop learning, you start shrinking, your curiosity fades, your world narrows, and that's a dangerous place to be, especially in a world that's changing rapidly. The ability to learn quickly, adapt to new ideas, and think independently, that is your edge. That is how you stay sharp, no matter your age or profession. Your brain isn't a storage unit, it's a tool for creation. But like any tool, it needs daily sharpening, so find something you want to understand better, read the science behind something you care about, write down what you're learning, ask questions no one's asking. Take the time to work through complexity, not just memorize answers. That's how you cultivate real intelligence, the kind that sticks, the kind that can be applied in the real world under pressure. And over time, this discipline of daily learning becomes a core part of your identity. You stop waiting for clarity and you start generating it. This is how leaders are built. This is how innovators stay ahead. Not by having all the answers, but by developing the muscle of showing up and learning every day, especially when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's hard. Because when you train your brain to go deep, you train your life to rise higher. We often talk about physical strength, mental clarity, productivity, but one area people tend to overlook is emotional fitness. And yet, this might be the single most important thing you work on every day. Because the quality of your relationships, your ability to communicate, to listen, to stay calm under stress. That's what determines how effective you are in the world. You can have all the knowledge, all the discipline, but if you don't know how to regulate your emotions and connect with others, you're running at half capacity. The nervous system doesn't operate in isolation. It responds to social cues. The people you interact with, their tone, their body language, their energy, can either calm your system or activate your stress response, and vice versa. That's why relationships are not just emotional, they're biological. When you take time each day to check in with someone you care about, to express gratitude, to simply be present in a conversation, you're not just being kind. You're training your nervous system to stay regulated, balanced, and resilient. Small actions carry a lot of power here. A genuine thank you, a moment of eye contact, putting down your phone when someone is speaking, listening without needing to fix or control. These little habits build emotional safety for you and the people around you. And that safety creates trust, and where there is trust, there is flow. Whether it's at work, in your family, or in your community, everything runs smoother when emotional health is strong. Forgiveness is another area that matters deeply. Holding on to resentment isn't just a mental burden, it's a physiological one. It keeps your stress hormones elevated, it disrupts sleep, it clouds your thinking. Forgiveness isn't about letting others off the hook, it's about unhooking yourself from a loop that drains your energy and focus. Practice letting go, not because it's easy, but because it's freeing. Just like you train your body and brain, you can train your emotional state. Pause before you react. Breathe when you feel triggered. Respond with kindness, especially when it's hardest. These are not signs of weakness, they're signs of mastery. And when you practice this daily, your presence begins to shift. People feel safer around you. They open up, you lead better, you connect deeper, because emotional fitness isn't optional. It's the invisible force that strengthens everything you build. The day doesn't truly end when your to-do list is done. It ends when your body and brain are given permission to recover, and that's where most people miss an opportunity. We spend all this energy trying to optimize our mornings and our productivity, but if you don't protect your nights, your performance eventually suffers. Recovery isn't passive, it's a skill, and every evening you're either training your system to restore itself, or you're overstimulating it and robbing yourself of the deep rest your body needs to grow, repair, and reset. Sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's when the brain literally clears out waste, consolidates memories, and recalibrates key neurotransmitters. Growth hormone spikes during deep sleep. That's when tissue regeneration happens. Your immune system strengthens. Your ability to learn and focus the next day improves. So if you're cutting sleep short, or if your quality of sleep is poor, no amount of caffeine or motivation can make up for that. You're operating in a depleted state without even realizing it. The wind-down routine matters more than people think. You need to start sending signals to your brain that it's time to shift gears, dim the lights, turn off the screens at least an hour before bed, or at the very least, use blue light filters. Keep your room cool, dark, and quiet. These aren't minor preferences. They are physiological cues that tell the brain to start producing melatonin and transitioning into a recovery state. There are tools you can use, like magnesium, L-theanine, or guided breathing, to calm your system, but none of that will work if your lifestyle is chaotic right up until the moment you try to sleep. The nervous system needs a runway. You can't just slam on the brakes and expect deep rest. It needs to ease in like a plane making a smooth landing. That means routines. That means boundaries. That means learning to put the phone down, even when the world keeps pulling you in. You don't grow during the workout. You grow during the recovery, and that applies to everything: your muscles, your brain, your emotional resilience. So don't think of sleep as a break from progress. It is the progress. It's the integration of everything you've done throughout the day, because the true transformation doesn't happen while you're grinding. It happens when you've earned your rest, and you give your body the space to do what it was designed to do: heal. Every day, you're shaping who you become, not through dramatic changes, but through the small, consistent choices you make. The decision to direct your mind in the morning instead of reacting to the world. The commitment to move your body, even when it's inconvenient. The discipline to nourish yourself with intention. The habit of stretching your mind through focused learning. The courage to strengthen your emotional connections. And the wisdom to prioritize recovery as part of the work. These aren't just 5 things to check off a list. They're 5 foundations of a life built on purpose, resilience, and growth. If you work on them daily, even in small ways, the compound effect over time is extraordinary. You'll think clearer, move stronger, feel deeper, and show up as the person you were meant to be. So start today, not because it's easy, but because your future self is counting on it.